here is where I learned a lot of the sense of giving, the sense of belonging, the sense of wholeness, the sense of spirituality.
Spirituality and faith shape many aspects of life in the San Luis Valley.
This always was a sacred place. This has always been part of my culture, about my life, my family.
For Sandy Ortega, the heart of that faith lies in this adobe building called La Morada.
Stand in this room is kind of like coming in during Holy Week, and they would have like songs, they would have readings from scripture.
As a child, Sandy would help prepare meals for Holy Week celebrations.
We'd be out there playing, and it's like, oh my gosh, we would just be all excited to come in and be able to help our moms. And I can still smell that amazing food that they would cook.
And I can remember when I was young, we actually used to kind of sneak in this building and see what was going on.
Moradas like this anchored the faith of communities across the valley.
These moradas were small churches. It doesn't matter what condition you poured yourself into your house on Saturday night, you were going to church on Sunday.
That devotion goes back generations.
It was really during the Mexican period in this area when land grants were awarded to what is now southern Colorado in the San Luis Valley. So we're talking about the mid to late 1830s and early 1840s that we saw the first attempts at settlement.
They would build a fort, making sure that they could keep the people safe. The second thing they would do is they would build a church.
These settlements were a long way from established communities like Taos or Santa Fe.
Because of that, there wasn't a regular, priest presence in a place like San Luis during those early years. So the Penitentes took it upon themselves to really, maintain the spiritual and cultural traditions.
The Penitentes were made up of laymen from the community.
The original name was Fraternidad, Piadosa de Nuestro Padre, Jesús, Nazareno. Which is the pious fraternity of Jesus of Nazareth.
The term penitente comes from the concept of penance, or atoning for one's sins.
They were connected to the religion and took it even a step further. And so all of their rituals maybe sounded a little scary or dark.
That led to a sense of mystery about the group.
This was like the secret meeting room. Nobody other than the Penitentes, the Hermanos, were allowed in here.
I think that they were kind of pushed into secrecy because the Catholic faith, once it became kind of anglicized, didn't necessarily recognize all of the significance of why they were doing what they were doing.
The Penitentes still practice in the valley, but services here ended more than 50 years ago. It's sat unused ever since.
I was blessed to be able to have bought this property.
After 50 years of just keeping the building standing, Sandy says it's high time to bring it back to life.
I know Mom and Dad are up in heaven looking down and say, oh, sweet Jesus, okay, honey, what a shame, que vergüenza. Now it's becoming back into getting reborn, rebuilt.
This is Aspen, and this is very atypical of how they used to make the vigas.
To a layperson who might walk through the doors, it might look like the building is falling apart. But in reality, considering the history of the building, I think it's in remarkable condition.
That's where the stabilization is coming in, bringing it up to code, bringing back, the electricity, the plumbing.
The adobe walls are in rough shape, but some say it's almost a miracle they're still here at all.
Of all the buildings that used to be broken down and, people would take the adobes to repurpose somewhere, buildings like this stayed intact for a reason. They were seen as sacred places of worship.
The early Hermanos were preservationists. They knew that without the church here, without an organized structure of leadership, if they didn't take the role of preserving the spiritual and cultural traditions of the places where they came from, that those are going to be lost. We can honor that by saving a place like this.
What makes our community rich is that history, and people like Sandy who are really dedicated and devoted to making sure that our culture, our religion, and artifacts like this are going to stand the test of time because somebody cares about them.
That is my hope. That is my dream, to then have this to where people walk in and say, oh my gosh, I just feel all warm and cozy and comfy, and this is just heaven on earth.